गिरिवरधारे जय राधा माधवा जय कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जय राधा माधवा जय कुंज बिहारी यशोदानन्दना व्रजजनरञ्जना यमुनातीरवनचारी जय कुंज बिहारी नन्दना यशोदानन्दना व्रजजनरञ्जना यमुनातीरवनचारी जय कुंज बिहारी तीरवनचारी जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधवा जय कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Jaya Radha Madan Mohan Radha Madan Mohan Radhe Radha Madan Mohan Radhe Jaya Jagannatha Jagannatha Baladeva Jaya Subhadra Mai Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Subhadra Mai Jaya Gauranitai 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 Jaya Gauranitai 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 Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol युगधर्म श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की संवेद गौर भक्तवृंद की जय गौर प्रेमानंदे ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च Nandagopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 28. Puranjan becomes a woman in the next life. Text number 10. Gandharva Yavana Krantam Kala Kanyopamartitam Hatum Prachakrame Raja Tampurim Anikamata Gandharva Yavana Krantam Kala Kanyopamarditam Hatum Prachakrame Raja Tampurim Anikamata Gandharva Yavana Krantam Kalakanyopamarditam Hatum Prachakrame Raja Tampurim Anikamata. Hatum Prachakrame Raja Tampurim Anikamata. Any Matajis? Word to word meaning, translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gandharva, by the Gandharva soldiers. Yavana, and by the Yavana soldiers. Akrantam, overcome. Kalakanya, by Kalakanya, the daughter of time. Upamarditam, being smashed. Hatum, to give up. Prachakrame, proceeded. Raja, King Puranjana. Tam, that. Purim, the city. Anikamata, unwilling. Translation. The city of King Puranjan was overcome by Gandharva and Yavana soldiers. And although the king had no desire to leave the city, he was circumstantially forced to do so, for it was smashed by Kalakanya. Purport. The living entity, separated from the association of Supreme Personality of Godhead, tries to enjoy this material world. He is given a chance to enjoy it in a particular type of body, beginning with the body of a Brahma down to that of the microbe. From the Vedic history of creation, we can understand that the first living creature was Lord Brahma, who created the seven great sages and other Prajapatis to increase the universal population. Thus, every living entity, according to karma, his past desires and activities, gets a particular type of body, from that of Brahma to that of a microbe or germ in stool. Due to long association with a particular type of material body, and also due to the grace of Kala Kanya and her Maya, one becomes overly attached to a material body, although it is the abode of pain. Even if one tries to separate a worm from stool, the worm will be unwilling to leave. It will return to the stool. Similarly, a hog generally lives in a very filthy state, eating stool. But if one tries to separate it from its condition and give it a nice place, the hog will be unwilling. In this way, if we study each and every living entity, we will find that he will defy offers of a more comfortable position. Although King Puranjana was attacked from all sides, he was unwilling to leave the city. Jai Shri Shri Gaurnitai Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan Shri Shri Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Maya Ki Jai. In other words, the living entity, whatever his condition, does not want to give up the body, but he will be forced to give it up because, after all, this material body cannot exist forever. The living entity wishes to enjoy the material world in different ways, and therefore, by nature's law, he is allowed to transmigrate from one body to another, exactly as a person transmigrates from the body of an infant to a child, to a boy, to a youth, to a man. This process is constantly going on. At the last stage, when the gross body becomes old and invalid, the living entity is reluctant to give it up, despite the fact that it is no longer usable. Although material existence and material body are not comfortable, why does the living entity not want to leave? As soon as one gets a material body, he has to work very hard to maintain it. He may engage in different fields of activity, but whatever the case, everyone has to work very hard to maintain the material body. Unfortunately, society has no information of the soul's transmigration because the living entity does not hope to enter the spiritual kingdom of eternal life, bliss, and knowledge. He wants to stick to his present body even though it may be useless. Consequently, the greatest welfare activity in this material world is the furthering of the Krishna consciousness movement. This movement is giving human society information about the kingdom of God. There is God, there is Krishna, and everyone can return to God and live eternally in bliss and knowledge. A Krishna conscious person is not afraid of giving up the body because his position is always eternal. A Krishna conscious person engages in the transcendental loving service of the Lord eternally. Therefore, as long as he lives within the body, he is happy to engage in the loving service of the Lord, and when he gives up the body, he is also permanently situated in the service of the Lord. The saintly devotees are always free and liberated, whereas the karmis, who have no knowledge of spiritual life or the transcendental loving service of the Lord, are very much afraid of giving up the rotten material body. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya चक्षुरुन्मिलितमेन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namini Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashat Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gaurasve Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhano Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Rama Hare Hare Mukam karoti vachalam pangulanga girim Yet kripaha tamaham mande Shri Guru Deenatarinam Hare Krishna. So before I start speaking, I seek the blessings of His Grace Anandmai Prabhu and all the assembled Vaishnavas so that I can glorify the Supreme Lord for my purification of heart. So in this particular section, we are seeing how the city of King Puranjan is being attacked by Kalakanya and her associates, and here the king is not able to control it, and how those particular people are completely smashing the city, and the king is completely devastated. He wants to control, means stop that, but he is not able to do that. So in comparison, here it is mentioned that how the living entity in old age doesn't want to give up his material body. He is attached to the sense gratification. He doesn't want to stop that sense gratification. So, karmana daiva naitrena jentur deho papattati. Striya pravishta udaram pumsoreta kanasre. So, under the direction of the Supreme Lord, Daiva Naitrena, according to the living entity's karma, the living entity is placed in a particular uh, family or parents according to his karma, according to his desires to enjoy in this material world. He gets a particular type of body, as Prabhupada is mentioning. He may get either the body of a Brahma or that of a microbe. So, in all species of life, the living entity's only desire is to do sense gratification, enjoy in various ways. So, uh, so Prabhupada is mentioning in this particular purport, elaborate purport, how although he is so much suffering in this material world, but he is not realizing it because he is conditioned to sense gratification, and he is not willing to give up uh, this suffering material world and material body, although there is a spiritual world where he can be free from all these miseries. So, why the living entity is not able to realize its conditioned state? So, first of all, we understand that every living entity is conditioned in a particular way. Like Prabhupada says that uh, different living entities are conditioned in different ways. Like a fish is conditioned to live in water and do its sense gratification. A human being is conditioned to stay on earth. If you throw him on water, he cannot live there. Right? So he is conditioned to live on earth and do his sense gratification. So according to his desires, the uh, the Supreme Lord provides him various facilities according to his desires and karma. The super soul within arranges everything. So the living entity, because of the Avarnatmika Shakti covering him, he is not able to realize that he is suffering. So Prabhupada here very nicely is giving the two examples that how even if you separate a worm from stool, although it is such a horrible condition, but the worm is unwilling to leave that place. So similarly, he is giving the example of hog. Although you give him, Prabhupada mentions that even if you give him a hot plate of halwa, which is made in ghee, still it will only go for stool. So it is conditioned. So the Avarnatmika Shakti is considered a covering potency, the Lord. It's like if you cover someone with some chadar, then he is in darkness, he doesn't understand what is happening outside, right? He may imagine, right? So then he is in ignorance, right? So same way the living entity is covered with this material body, and he actually imagines that he is this body, although he is not the body. He is in the body, but he is not the body, right? So, but because of his strong identification with this body, he is conditioned to think that I am this body, and with this body I will enjoy. So, uh, we also hear the story of King Indra, how he once was cursed to become a hog, and how Brahmaji later comes to take him back to heaven, means take him back to his original position. But then, to his surprise, Indra says, "No, I'm very happy here." So Brahmaji was surprised that how Indra is no, attached to this body, such a horrible situation. Hmm. So if you just try to understand, like how the gutter is so horrible, right? It is black, filled with all kinds of horrible substances, right? And then the hog lies in that uh, very peacefully, thinking that such a nice place, right? And eating all abominable things. So, because it is conditioned to that particular lifestyle. hmm, So, we know eventually that how Brahmaji, uh, through a butcher, tries to no, bringing back first, killing those piglets. Still, he is not coming. Then the wife is killed. Still, he doesn't come. Finally, when he was about to kill, then he uh, decides to come. So the living entity actually becomes attached to the particular type of sense gratification he is getting. So that's why he doesn't want to come out. So in a similar way, uh, all the various living entities, including human beings, actually become conditioned to various forms of sense gratification, mainly through eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. These four types of sense gratification, either grossly or subtly. So, because we become attached to these four types mainly, so that's why we are conditioned, and that's why we don't want to come out of this material world. As long as we have any tinge of desire for sense gratification, we have to get this material body. So Krishna, through material nature, awards this material body to fulfill our desires for sense gratification. So first of all, the living entity has to realize that how this material body and material world is miserable, temporary, and illusory. So, and how it can never satisfy us. So, we see that this material body gives us so much miseries: birth, old age, disease, death, threefold miseries, and the six whips of Maya: hunger, thirst, lamentation, hankering, old age, disease. So many miseries are no there in this material world, because it's not the natural position of the living entity. This material world, uh, it's an unnatural place, and we are left Krishna, and we want to enjoy on our own. So it's not a natural position. So and also Prabhupada mentions, because we have disobeyed Krishna, we have come to this material world, so we suffer here, wanting to be independent of Krishna. So living entity, no matter how much he tries to enjoy, hmm, he can never be happy in this material world. And whatever so-called happiness he may uh, try to get, it's all temporary and illusory. So, uh, so he has to realize that this is not his natural position. Hmm. So no matter how much I make arrangements for enjoyment, I cannot be happy in this material world, hmm, because it is temporary and illusory. So we see that uh, the great souls, they realize it, so they are not attached to it. Hmm. But the conditioned souls, they are not able to realize it. Hmm. So we see, like when Tukaram Maharaj, he was about to leave this world, means the Vaikuntha plane came. So he called his wife and he said that, no, you can also come with me. But then she says that, who will take care of the buffaloes? If I go, and who will take care of this, kids and all? So, uh, so the living entity is not able to realize. Similarly, in the story of Kailash, also we see that how Narada Muni requests him to come back to Vaikuntha, but he keeps on delaying it, saying that first he has to get settled, and then later on take care of his family, then take care of his business. And to his surprise, he sees that even after dying and taking the body of dog and eventually snake, still he is not willing to come out of it, huh? Because he's still in the consciousness that uh, no, I should protect my family members. They are not taking care properly. Still attached to his house and family members. So, in a similar way, we all also maybe can become attached to various gross and subtle forms of sense gratification. So, like eating. So, because we have this strong desire to do sense gratification through the tongue, so that also conditions us. Hmm. So, we have to take care of the body, in the sense we have to feed this body so that it is sustained. So Prabhupada says that we have to eat so that we can keep the body and soul together. We can serve Krishna enthusiastically. But at the same time, we should not become attached, because because the more we become attached to sense gratification, the more we become conditioned. Right? The more we do sense gratification, actually the more we become conditioned to that sense gratification. And more you become conditioned, the more you are forced to take a material body again, through eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. So we should understand that the tongue is just a lump of flesh, right? So uh, so we should not become attached, in the sense, to the taste of the food, but we should be attached to the mercy of the Lord, which is coming in the form of prasadam. So the taste may satisfy the tongue, right? But the mercy of the Lord only can satisfy the heart. So, in the sense, when we even honor the prasadam, that's why we try to recite, remember the prayers, right? Krishna bada doy Kori ba jiva jai. Swaprasad anadilo bhai. Say annamrita pao. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gunagao. So we are trying to remember that this is mercy of the Lord. Right? So we may like prasadam, but we should not become attached to the prasadam. Because every living entity may like as per his nature. But becoming attached, there is a difference. So just like Prabhupada, when Prabhupada went to various places, he just accepted whatever Krishna arranged. Like Prabhupada went to Bhuvaneshwar, so he had to stay in a small hut, or even in New Vrindavan initial days. So in New Vrindavan, they used to have only one type of vegetable, pork weeds. So they would made only sabji of porkweed, pakoda of porkweed, everything of that only. So Prabhupada saw that whatever Krishna arranged, no, he just accepted it gratefully. On the part of the disciples, they tried to serve their best. Hmm. Similar way, when Prabhupada was in Detroit, sometimes, yeah, there was a huge mansion. Even the taps were gold plated, right? But whatever Krishna arranged, he just accepted. He was not attached neither to that gold plated place nor to that hut. Hmm. So, whatever is arranged by Krishna, he gratefully accepted. So, that is how we remain detached. Hmm. Means we try to, being in this material body, we try to satisfy the basic needs, but ultimately, whatever is provided, we gratefully accept it as mercy of Krishna. So, uh, and we try to do it basic minimum. So whether it is eating, sleeping, mating, or defending, no, all these things. So similar way, Prabhupada says about sleeping, 6 to 7 hours one can take rest so that the body is fit to serve Krishna. Hmm. If somebody sleeps more, 10 hours, 12 hours, somebody may get severe diseases, or heat in the body may get increased, like that. Some problems may come. So, when we, even as practicing devotees, actually we may be engaged either sometimes grossly or even subtly in sense gratification. Hmm. Right? So, grossly in the forms of eating, sleeping, mating, maybe grossly or even subtly in the form of name, fame, recognition, becoming attached to uh, name and fame and recognition coming through various ways. So, like for example, sometimes a devotee may become attached to recognition coming through particular service. Like one devotee was doing some program, and he was told that by the managers that you can stop that program. So His Holiness Radha Swami Maharaj was there and in one class, and that devotee asked that I had worked very hard to start this program, and I only developed this program. So, and the managers are telling that no, I should stop this program. So Maharaj was telling that actually it is not your program, it is Krishna's program. You are just servant of that program. You should understand that you have been appointed to serve the devotees who come for that program for a particular period of time. And when you are told to give up that, you should be willing to give it up. Hmm. But the problem is actually, living entity in this material world, whatever he gets, uh, when he starts doing sense gratification through that, he becomes attached. Like a small child, if you give him a doll, he starts playing with the doll and he gets some enjoyment. So when you want to take it away from him, then he starts crying, right? So same way the living entity gets this material body, which is also like a doll. So he starts engaging in sense gratification. But when you want to take it away, means at the time of death, then he starts crying. In the same way, when we are in this material body, he is given different forms of dolls. He may get wife, children, car, home, different types of sense objects, and he takes pleasure in enjoying those sense objects. So he doesn't understand that actually these sense objects don't belong to him, whether this material body or the various sense objects, they all belong to Krishna. So the problem is the living entity forgets that Krishna is the controller and real enjoyer. Bhoktaram Ignatapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Suhradam Sarvabhutanam Gnatmamam Shantirichyati. Only when we realize that Krishna is the supreme controller of all the planets, including our body, our mind, uh, even our soul, and understanding that he is the enjoyer, he is meant to enjoy everything. So the living entity thinks that he is the enjoyer. That is a wrong, false conception. That's a problem with the living entity. So because why he thinks he is the enjoyer? Because he thinks that I am the controller, I am the proprietor, right? So we see that like sometimes when somebody purchases a land, so they write proprietor so and so, trespassers are prosecuted. Uh, so, but actually, who is the proprietor, right? So actually, they should write that Krishna is the proprietor of this land, and currently it is under my care for some time. That is a fact, right? Because Bhumi Rapo Nalo Vair Kam Mano Buddhirevacha. Right? Krishna is the real proprietor, controller of everything. Right? So, and for some time, those things are given to us. Right? And when an appropriate time, as per our karma comes, it is taken away. Right? So, foolishly, the living entity becomes attached to those sense objects. Right? That's the problem. Right? So, that false ego, that I am this body and everything in relation with this body is mine. That's the problem. So, we should be convinced that everything belongs to Krishna, everything is in control of Him, and so everything is meant for His enjoyment. And no matter how much I try to enjoy, control, be proprietor in this world, I cannot be happy. So many living entities try to control and be proprietors. Prabhupada says so many have come, dictators, Hitler, uh, then Napoleon, like that. So many people they try to control and be proprietor, right? Alexander, so many have come, but they tried their level best to control. But how long? So how long can they control, right? Eventually, they are only controlled by the time, as here Kalakanya is controlling. So similar way the living entity even eventually is controlled. Foolish living entity, he doesn't understand that how he is controlled by the material energy. He is not able to realize it. So we should understand that I am a tiny living entity, and my natural position where I can be happy and blissful forever is in serving Krishna. Yata taror mula nishechanena tripyanti tatskanda bhujopashaka. Pranopahara cha chendriyanam tataiva sarvaranam achyuteja. So if you water the root of the tree, automatically the leaves and branches will be watered. It's such a simple analogy, but it has great significance. Because if somebody foolishly tries to water the leaves and fruit separately, okay, maybe some dust of those fruits and water leaves may go away, right? But then the tree will never be nourished. So in a similar way, we are trying to nourish our own body and false ego in various ways and means. But we see that no matter how much we try, like a fish out of water, the living entity cannot be happy. Okay, so some form of illusory happiness is there little bit in this material world, but the true happiness which the soul is hankering for, the true satisfaction which is hankering for, that he will never obtain unless he serves Krishna. Savai pumsham paro dharmo yato bhaktir adokshade ahaituki apratihata atma suprasidati. So if you want that real satisfaction, we should try to serve Krishna unmotivatedly and uninterruptedly. So even in our devotional service to the Lord, sometimes we see that there is great amount of dissatisfaction. Why? Just like Vyasdeva experienced dissatisfaction, because there is no proper glorification of the Lord. So to the degree our service is unmotivated and uninterrupted, to that degree only we feel satisfaction and bliss of Krishna consciousness. So even when we render devotional service, we have to again and again see that whether we are rendering our service unmotivatedly and uninterruptedly. We should at least endeavor. We may not, because of our conditionings, our conditioned nature, we may uh, we may have some wrong motivations, or we may like to serve only for some time, right? But we have to give up those, because understanding that uh, only if I come to this status of ahetuki apratihata, I can be fully satisfied, and that is my natural state. So our mind actually cheats us. Our conditioned mind keeps on cheating us. It has more faith in the temporary illusory pleasures of this world than the real eternal nature of Krishna consciousness. There is a problem. So we should stop listening to our conditioned mind and putting faith in Guru Krishna and Vaishnavas. Okay. So because Guru Krishna Vaishnavas, just like Brahmaji was repeatedly telling Indra, or Narada Muni telling Kailash, similar way scriptures, Guru, Sadhu, they are all telling the same thing, that this world is temporary, illusory, and the spiritual world is eternal and a place of happiness, bliss. So please give up this temporary, illusory happiness and come and join Krishna, where you can be happy eternally serving Him. So our problem is we trust the conditioned mind more than Krishna and Vaishnavas. That's the problem. So even after coming to devotional service, it's not that we are we have given up completely sense gratification. So still there is gross and subtle sense gratification. The tendencies are deeply rooted. So these tendencies can be given up only by sincerely taking shelter of Lord. So every day when we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, you should pray to Krishna. Krishna, now I have this deep tendency to control, enjoy, be proprietor. Please remove this poison like tendencies in my heart, and please fill my heart with the nectar of pure devotional service to serve you unmotivatedly and uninterruptedly. Hmm? Because we have this deep conditioned nature. That's why we are born uh, in this material world. So, so recently, just like there is temple in Ayodhya where the Lord's deity is installed. Hmm? So people actually are hankering for Ramaraja. So, but actually we should also understand that before externally establishing Ramaraja, actually internally we also have to install the Lord. That means we have to actually give up our enjoying mentality, which is like Ravana, right? So Ravana had so much of enjoying mentality. Whatever he saw, whether people or things, he just wanted to grab for his sense gratification. So we have to give up that enjoying mentality and install Lord Ram, in the sense uh, serve Lord in our hearts, right? So when we give up that enjoying mentality and chant the names of Lord, then Lord will appear in our heart. Okay. So then only people will actually uh, be able to serve Lord Ram in a proper way. Hmm. So definitely the temples will help it, but also every living entity, every individual has to individually also take responsibility to give up that enjoyment mentality and develop proper service attitude towards Lord Ram. So then the Ram Raja actually will start first in our heart. Uh, then externally also it will be established. Because unless every individual doesn't give up his enjoying mentality, then just by externally establishing it will not happen. Hmm. So we should seriously understand that I have this deep conditioned nature to control, to enjoy, to be proprietor. So these are very dangerous. These are the ones which are binding me like anchors. That story of Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur wedding party tells that how the boat never moved ahead because of those anchors, right? So in a similar way, these are binding us in this material world. Hmm. So unless we remove those deep conditions which we have, conditioned natures, we cannot go to spiritual world. And the only way to come out of them is by taking shelter of Lord and praying to Him. Okay, because He has the power. We should understand that no matter how much we may be conditioned, the Lord has the power to purify us. Hmm. Shuddham, Lord has two qualities. It's mentioned in Ishopanishad: Shuddham and Apapaviddham. Hmm. So by coming in contact with Lord, we get purified. We can become pure, and Lord has the capacity to purify any sinful living entity. He will never get contaminated, just like sun. So we should have faith that Lord has the power to purify anyone. Hmm. That's what Srila Prabhupada proved. So we should have faith, and then we should try to take shelter of the Lord sincerely. Then Lord will definitely help us. So we'll end here. Any one question before we end? Okay, we'll end here. Shrimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samveda Gaura Bhaktavinda ki jai.